Hello YouTube, it's me again, and I want to talk to you about what I think you should anticipate in the next several months to next couple of years. As you can tell from the many police shootings, police brutality is only going to rise. It is being introduced as a plague in the inner cities, but it will be rolled out across America. It already has. Communities that in the past had very cordial relationships with the police are starting to have problems. The way some of their citizens are being treated during foreclosures is ruffling feathers. The use of tasers on people for minor disputes with law enforcement is startling people in mainstream America. What I would say is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get progressively worse. The campaign to confiscate your guns is in full force, and it will only get more intense. All of these mass shootings are, whether they're false flags or hoaxes, they are intended to do only one thing: provide a pretext for confiscating guns. Why do they want to confiscate guns? Because they intend to roll out a tyranny. Most of you know that, so I'm not telling you something that you don't know. But are you ready for it? What have you done? What are you going to do with your firearms? You've purchased legal firearms. They know you have them. When they come, they're going to look for them. If they don't find them, I suspect they will criminalize the lack of accountability. I don't think they'll accept the excuse that you misplaced it or lost it. I doubt that very seriously. I think they'll intensify their pressure on you. It could involve incarceration or brutal treatment. It can fall within so many different ranges of options that they have at their disposal. They could issue you unbearable fines. Who knows? But they're going to do something. So think about that. How are you going to handle that? You really need to have those issues resolved. One of the other things that you can expect is a radical change in the prestige of the dollar. The dollar is already targeted for collapse. The actual collapse was initially predicted in 2008. So, we're about to move into 2016. So they've demonstrated some resiliency with respect to keeping that currency in play. But if you look at food prices, you will see that in the past 12 months, they've been creeping up steadily. So that means that the value of the dollar is diminishing here at home, not just abroad, but here at home. And that is going to cause nations to make decisions that may put them in direct conflict with the United States. Remember, the United States enforces U.S. hegemony through military force. That's the reason why we're in Iraq. That's the reason why we want to crush Syria, in addition to weakening Hezbollah. There are a lot of different reasons why the United States is involved in conflict throughout the world. Libya was brought down because they wanted to introduce a African currency backed by gold, which would have changed everything. It would have made Africa rich, not just in resources, but it would have actually given them the ability to establish development efforts that were sustainable over extended periods of time, which means they could build highway infrastructure, rail infrastructure, power infrastructure, clean water infrastructure, all the things that you need to have a prosperous society. They would have been able to do those things. So look for the weaknesses of the dollar to only increase. You're going to have to find a hedge against that. Buying gold and silver are good things to do. Also, collecting commodities, storing them, having a place to store them, whether you put them in a storage locker, in a protective container, or what. Having commodities could prove very valuable, not only for you to consume, but also to trade if you have them in large enough quantities. So think about those things. Think about one of the things I would highly recommend you do, whether it doesn't matter what community you emanate from. It would make sense to find some cops you can make friends with, so you can start getting some inside information about what they're hearing, what they think they're going to have to do in the coming months and years to effectively do their jobs. That'll tell you a lot, and then once you get that information, you really should share it with the rest of us. I would tell you that the world right now appears to be at conflict, but I am not buying it. I do not buy it. I see a stalemate with certain powers. I don't think that these are powers that are diametrically opposed to one another. I think they are fighting for position amongst themselves. You know, who's going to have the number 2 slot, who's going to have the number 3 slot. I think we all know that the United States will retain for, the foreseeable future the number 1 spot. The military power is overwhelming. The financial power is on the decline. But the United States plans to use what it has, and that's the military. And no one really wants to go directly against it. Even though both the Russians and Chinese are building some pretty amazing weapon systems, they know that defeating the United States is not going to be a one-strike effort. There's a lot of talk about an EMP decapitating the American military, but that doesn't take into consideration the sizable submarine force that the United States has, nor the strength of the military bases that are surrounding practically every country in the world. So that military power is not going away. The worst thing the United States can do is attack Iran, have all of their bases in the Middle East destroyed. That would put a sizable dent in reducing American military power across the world. But it will not diminish it in its entirety. You will not reduce the United States military to a domestic force. They will be an international force for some time to come. And they have enough firepower to fend off any local uprisings that may come across. America has both air and land power distributed across the world. And their military manpower is substantial enough to check most local militaries. Anyway, so in a nutshell, those are the things that I was thinking about and wanted to share. Please feel free to leave your comments. Take care, and look for my next video.